China and the United States have been involved in a technical war for supremacy in several fields for decades. This ranges from political conflicts to artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and space. In all, China has steadily enjoyed several major space triumphs in recent years, including the launch of an unmanned mission to Mars and the start of building its own space station. The Chinese station seems to be moving on a fast track. Beijing's ambitions for the next 5 years include studying flights to bring back rock samples from Mars and initiating Jupiter exploration. Stay tuned to the end to learn why China's space race is a good thing. China may not have initiated what the United States has, but it is quickly catching up, and the stakes are higher. They intend to lay the groundwork for lofty space achievements such as Jupiter exploration and a crewed mission to the Moon. So far, China has a remarkable record and notable space success in recent years. More than any other in the space race, the Chinese nation has launched more rockets into orbit since 2018. They were the first to land a rover on the Moon's far side in 2019. In 2020, China launched the final satellite in its global navigational satellite system known as Beidou, China's answer to the US-made GPS. In 2021, China launched its own space station and sent astronauts there. In the same year, China also landed an unmanned spacecraft on Mars, making the record of the second country to set foot on Mars after the United States. These moves open up another technological front between the United States and China, with the world's second largest economy positioning itself as a space superpower in the coming years. China has stated that it will continue to research and plan for a crewed lunar landing and develop a new spacecraft for such missions. As part of the plan, China will collaborate with other countries to build a research station on the Moon. However, Beijing is looking beyond the Moon's surface. Scientists want to finish their research on collecting and studying Mars samples. China also wishes to lay the groundwork for Jupiter exploration. The nation has openly informed the public that it intends to send a crewed mission to Mars in 2033 and set up a base there. Like China's large infrastructure projects on Earth, their goals are to gain a foothold in space technology that will drive profit, make them independent of US technology, gain an advantage in military operations, and demonstrate superiority on the global stage. China has also stated that it will continue to research into space physics, including searching for other habitable planets. To achieve this, some experiments and research on the biology, life, medicine, and materials will be carried out using its space station and Mars and Moon probes. According to the State Council, satellite technology advancements help businesses on Earth become more beneficial. This could also spur new businesses such as space tourism and biomedicine. Will the United States stay on top with China's space race pace? Experts believe that with Joe Biden in the White House, space spending will slow down. However, the Democratic Party has stated that it will continue to pursue the goal of returning Americans to the Moon and beyond to Mars. The president has already signed the most excellent NASA budget since the Apollo program's inception. There is a significant ideological barrier. It's a race to see which system, democracy or authoritarian capitalism, will triumph in the 21st century. Undoubtedly, American leaders are well aware that China will not be satisfied with second-tier status in a world headed by the United States and its allies. China appears to be building a force with the United Nations to keep moving ahead in the space race. China said it would work with other nations from global governance to crewed space flights. The white paper stated, under the framework of the United Nations, China will actively engage in drafting international regulations surrounding outer space, and will work together with other nations to solve the issues in ensuring the long-term sustainability of outer space activities. They categorically emphasized the likelihood would conduct dialogue with Russia, the United States, and other countries on global space governance. We bet you're wondering why Russia. Let's delve deeper. It will interest you to know that Russia also has an incredible record in space. Russia was the first nation to ever send a man into space. Russia also sent the first live animal into orbit and launched the first lunar probe. These achievements came as a threat to the United States. As a result, they dramatically increased their investment in the space program, culminating in 1969 with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin's first steps on the Moon. The Moon landing is seen as the end of the space race. As US and Soviet ties improved, so did the space expenditures. But, unlike the Cold War, space isn't a demonstration of technical might. The space sector is presently projected to be worth $345 billion. Since the Apollo program, NASA's budget has been between 0.5 and 1%. However, in recent decades, the globe has seen the deployment of new power, China. While ruled by an authoritarian system, China has more economic might and resources than the Soviet Union. In the year 2000, China launched Beidou, an alternative to the American GPS system, which we rely on daily. China's Beidou space program delivers both prestige and practical advantages, with a reputation gained by proclaiming its debut as a space power comparable to the prestige gained by the United States from its first moon landing. According to some estimations, the newly finished version is 20 centimeters more precise than GPS. The importance of its operational advantage cannot be overemphasized in the military and the economy. A GPS system is required for every movement, from targeting a missile to fast food delivery. China has its own GPS capability with the Beidou system. As a result, independence from the US influences that critical piece of infrastructure in the information economy. In 2019, Galaxy Space became China's first private company to successfully launch a rocket and a satellite. The firm plans to launch 650 low Earth orbit satellites similar to SpaceX's Starlink, which will provide people worldwide with much better and faster internet access. One notable factor that makes the China space race a good thing is the prestige it stands to bring the nation. This is why it is essential to President Xi Jinping. He must constantly demonstrate to the world through the space program that China is a superpower. On this note, they will have to prove that they can carry out missions similar to those done by NASA. Can China pull this off? We keep our fingers crossed on this one. NASA initiatives include the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, an upgrade to the Hubble Space Telescope, whose photos revolutionized our knowledge of the cosmos. The ambitions of China and the United States may be determined by how long their rivalry lasts. From all we know, the greater the rivalry, the further the two space superpowers are likely to go. It is glaring that for China, it's all about prestige, as its overall goal with its space program is to compete with the United States. Obviously, China does not want to be subservient to the United States on the planet and in space. The plan right now is to try to close the gap. China has a less open economic and intellectual environment than the United States. However, we know that in terms of innovation, China will have certain advantages when it comes to putting a state's or a society's rich resources on a specific technical issue such as AI. A society with fully open information flows, and where innovation is as much as bottom-up as a top-down phenomenon, has a greater intrinsic dynamism. Although if the United States expends the required work and commitment in these areas, there is no inherent reason why it cannot succeed, since it is a democracy. So from an American strategic standpoint, the concern is that China may have a jump in high-tech innovation that will be most important in terms of powering innovation and productivity in the 21st century. And this may be translated into advantages on the battlefield. I should point out that the judgment is yet still out on how successful China will be at mastering innovation in these areas. However, suppose that China continues to lack the open informational ecology that we've traditionally associated with success and innovation. In that case, enormous barriers may exist to retaining the dynamism required to encourage long-term innovation. China is up against more than just a long and illustrious space program. However, it has more ambitious missions than ever before. For all it's worth, the China space race is undoubtedly a good thing for the Chinese nation and the world at large. Do you agree with us? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates of space news coming your way soon. Thanks for watching.